I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wrenches in my top drawer. Hey, what's up, guys? This is MJ100K, and today we got to talk about the city of Chicago suing Kia for not having immobilizers in their vehicles. We got to talk about that. I got my friend Angry McNerdy Face in here. How you doing?
Doing fantastic, MJ100K.
All right. So, usually I don't like to talk a lot about politics on the show because, I mean, it's a car show. Like, we try to come here to escape that. But the problem is, in the automotive industry, there is no escape from politics. There's no escape from local or global politics. All the vehicles that you have now, the whole reason why they are how they are is because of government interference and regulations.
Right, for better or worse.
Well, yeah, I mean, some things are better, they got more safety features, but that always adds to cost, and there's just regulation on top of regulation for emissions, and just something that we got to deal with. So we got to talk about that today.
There's no avoiding it.
You can't get away from it. So, all right, so I'm going to show you some news from the city of Chicago. I went there one time and everything was so expensive. It was crazy. So here we go. The city, this is ABC7 Chicago.
Kia and Hyundai responding to Chicago's lawsuit claiming a defect in certain models of those vehicles has led to a car theft crisis here. The lawsuit claims the companies failed to include engine immobilizers in models sold between 2011 and 2022, which is an industry standard. The city reports Kia and Hyundai vehicles made up more than half of all vehicle thefts in this city so far this year. In a statement, Kia says, quote, lawsuits filed by municipalities against Kia are without merit. Kia has been and continues to be willing to work cooperatively with law enforcement agencies in Chicago to combat car theft and the role social media has played in encouraging it. Hyundai says it remains, quote, committed to ensuring the quality and integrity of our products, all of which are fully compliant with federal anti-theft requirements.
Okay, so he's talking about federal anti-theft requirements, but Chicago is claiming that they're not adhering to an industry standard, which is completely subjective, right? Is that what they're claiming?
Yeah, I think what they're saying is most people in the automotive industry have immobilizers on their car and Kia does not. But that is just because the majority of OEMs use that does not mean that it's a federal standard.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly. I mean, if they're complying with federal law, I mean, the judge is going to slap this down. That's if we just stop right now and not look at any other evidence, the judge is going to slap this down, or it's going to go to federal court and they're going to be like, dude, state, local courts, you can't sue a global organization. All right, it's got to go up the chain.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're going to look at 3 reasons why we think Kia should lose this. And number 1 is what Angry McNerdy Face said, that we don't think they have standing to sue them for not having something that isn't a regulation. Federally, they don't have to have immobilizers. So how can a local municipality come in after the fact and say that you should have had immobilizers because everyone else does? It doesn't make sense.
We've seen this before with lawsuits in the past. I won't quote them. Now, granted, you and I were not lawyers. I mean, lawyers are having fun with this. They're all getting paid no matter what. That's just a disgusting thing about our whole legal system. Totally different topic, but it's like the lawyers are getting paid no matter what happens, man. They're already on the clock.
That's what I'm thinking. Now, let's look at one more video so that was basically what Kia had to say. Let's look at just what the city of Chicago has to say.
Has led to theft crisis in the city. This is a story that we've been following closely for a couple of years now. A security flaw shared on social media made the car an easy target for thieves. The mayor's office says since the videos started spreading on social media, thefts of Kia and Hyundai vehicles in Chicago surged from about 500 in the first half of 2022 to more than 8,000 1,000 during the second half of the year. The complaint filed in Cook County Circuit Court says the flaw has led to an increase in violence because thieves use those stolen Hyundais and Kias to commit other crimes. The city says it wants restitution for victims and to reclaim the cost of responding to those thefts.
Okay, I got to jump in. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
First, that last point the city made, that is such a douchey stretch of reality. It's led to increase in all crimes. It's like, get out of here, man.
Oh man.
God, good luck proving that. You probably got a bunch of dingbats on the jury if there ever is going to be one, but still, man, good luck. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Now,
and
obviously, the market increase in vehicle theft, that sucks. I feel for those owners, man. That really sucks. And I've been thinking about this too, man.
what?
Get this. Let's say you fixed your Kia, like you fixed the flaw. People are still breaking into it. They're still smashing your window. They're still
Yeah,
gonna
let me
try to steal it, even if it's fixed. You know?
yeah, let me tell you. I once talked to a guy who said that when he was younger, he used to break into cars and steal them and take the radio. And what he told me was, he said when I would break into a car, if for some reason I couldn't figure out how to steal it or I couldn't get the radio out, he said he would just get mad and cut up the seats and just destroy it, because he was angry that he couldn't steal it.
Dude, that reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit he did, where he's like, it's like I think it was in DC or Detroit or something. He was complaining that someone broke into his car. He's like, some crackhead broke in my car. You know what he stole? A candy bar sitting in my seat.
Yeah,
Just
so
smashing your window just to find out they can't steal it, So I feel for the people that fixed it, and that just sucks. But man, Chicago, you're gonna try to blame your crime epidemic on a car maker? Get out of here. What else is going on in Chicago, bro? All
and
right.
and I'm thinking like, how do you determine that the fact that it can be stolen is a flaw? Like
Yeah.
the key is working as intended. What a flaw is when GM, remember they had their keys and I think they would slip out a drive or the key would stall or it was something with the keys and they got sued for that. Now that is a flaw, but the ability for somebody else to come and is number one is it's not that easy to steal. Like they still have to get in there, they still have to break some clips off, they have to remove some plastic, and then they can stick something in there and turn it. But like a lot of cars used to get stolen like that back in the 80s and 90s. A lot of Hondas were super easy to steal. That doesn't mean that they're defective. It's not a defect.
Yeah, it's just look, thieves, they're gonna. I mean, first of all, it's a volume car. They're everywhere. I mean, Kias and Hyundais are everywhere, man. It's a volume vehicle. It's like we went through this thought exercise when I was in high school. It was 20 years ago now, over 20 years ago. And we had this like business class, and the teacher just asked us, "Hey, what do you think are the most stolen cars?" Right? And of course, we're all just kids. We're just thinking like, "Oh man, they're going to try to steal the Lambos and like the Porsches." The thieves are going to want to steal the nice cars, right? It's like, no. First of all, those cars are usually kept in garages or secure parking facilities. You're not going to get near them for the most part. They're owned by people that have the means to protect them. And also, they have more advanced anti-theft features because you're paying for that. You're buying a
Yeah.
car that costs 6 figures plus. You're paying extra, and it's going to have those extra security features because you're paying for it. No, the most common stolen car was a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. They're easy to steal. This was in the 90s.
So since you mentioned that, I'm glad that you did. This is the third reason why I think that Kia should win and not have to pay the city of Chicago a dime. Let me share this. Let me share this article that I found. Because you would think that Kias, they don't have the immobilizer, so they're the top stolen car, right? Wrong. All right, so here we go. The most stolen car is the Dodge Charger Hellcat. The most stolen car, and it's not even close. And guess what? It has an immobilizer, but a bunch of losers figured out how to steal it anyway.
Yeah, man, they're always gonna, try to be one step ahead.
Huh.
Wow,
Let
that's
me read.
crazy because that's a low volume car.
Let me read some of this. This is from thedrive.com if you want to read the article yourself. According to HLDI, there were 6,128 Charger Hellcat theft claims during the aforementioned 2 years. That is 255 claims per month over 24 months, almost 3 times the number of claims filed for the second most stolen car. Okay. So, as you can see what people do with that is let me try to explain it very simply to people who might not know a lot about this. So, when they say immobilizer, what they're talking about is the key for cars with immobilizers has a code in it, and when you put it in the car, and you turn it. It'll send that code to the car's computer, and if it's the right code, the car's computer will start. So those are for keys that you put in there, and also for keys that you could just have in your pocket, like a key fob. It'll send the code, but it'll send it with like NFC waves. So so what happens is with the Dodge Charger Hellcat, it has a key fob, but that key fob, it's sending out the code at all times. So people, they could be near you, and there's like some equipment that you could buy that'll grab that code out of the air. So you they could just be hiding in the bushes, and you walk by, you put your car in the driveway, you walk by, and they pick up the code. So then they go inside the car, and they have equipment that'll s- send that code out again. So the car thinks that your key fob is there, but really it's like a fake key fob. It's a imitation, but it has the code. So that is how people are stealing cars with key fobs. So, what Dodge does is like they'll do an update to where the key fob has to be there, and then there's like a pin you have to physically push in to the touch screen on the car. So with the pin and the key fob, the car will start then.
Mhm.
So as you can see, that is showing that just because you have a key fob or just because you have an immobilizer doesn't mean you won't get your car stolen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, think of that method as that's kind of like a two-factor. That's like two-factor authentication, effectively, but they're spoofing it. And I can think of several ways that could be improved. That the architecture there. I mean, that is kind of a flaw. I mean, the fact that you could spoof if it's just if that data stream is not encrypted, you don't have some sort of like um, public private key share or some sort of like encrypted or authentication method
Yeah.
with live authentication, and maybe some sort of frequency hopping to kind of like and handshaking between like the ECM and the the handheld device
Hmm.
without, I mean, more robust safety measures. Yeah, that could easily be spoofed, and I'd be curious to know. I mean, I wouldn't want to have to plug a pen in every time I start my car. Man, that's annoying. Like they just got to improve that algorithm there. That's it.
All
There's
right.
ways to improve that.
All right. So Dodge, if you want to fix this, you need to call Angry McNerdy Face now. He's
They're
very
not going to spend the
busy.
money on it.
I bet you could fix it though.
I charge 225 an hour.
All right. Well, there you go.
Hey,
That's pennies
but hold
for
on, dude. Go back
Dodge.
to that article because there's something I want to call out there.
All right. Hold on. Let
First of
me.
all, this article is based on outdated data, 2020 to 2022. We're in 2023, and this is an epidemic that started this year in
No,
Chicago.
this started a couple of years ago.
Did it? Okay.
I mean, this has been like this for a
Did
while.
people just catch on? I mean, it's just it
I
seems
don't know.
because to Chicago, the city of Chicago's point, they're saying they saw what it was the first half of 2023 or was it 2022? They're saying that the first half, we'll have to verify this. They said they had on the order of 500 thefts, and in the second half they have over 8,000. We got to verify these numbers, but that's way higher than this. This is
Well, I
saying
mean,
2,197 claims, and that's nationwide.
no, I think they're
Chicago's claiming
going per
8,000.
capita. I think they're going per capita because they don't sell as many Dodge Charger Hellcats as they do Kias. So I
Well,
think they mean per number of Hellcats
so they're
sold
weighing. It's
is
an
the most.
average. They're saying we sold this many, and this many were mentioned stolen, so the percentage is higher. But
Yeah.
there's so many more Kias. They're just seeing so much more theft, and there's so much more exposure to theft because those cars are everywhere. There's a lot of reasons to steal a Hellcat. I mean, just the you could pawn those parts. I mean, just the supercharger alone is worth a lot of money.
Yeah. So, but I think my main point was that immobilizers aren't going to stop car theft.
Yeah.
And
That's a solid point. Yeah, that's because they're not all created equal.
and here we go. This is my point. This is my last point I'm gonna make about why Kia should win the lawsuit and not have to pay Chicago. Where is it? I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna show you something that might make you very angry, angry McNerdy face.
It's not hard to do.
All right, let me break it up. They were saying that cars being stolen is a threat to public safety.
Yeah.
However, my contention is that is actually safer to get your car stolen that way from an immobilizer, from it not
Mhm.
having an immobilizer, to the other way of getting your car stolen, which is getting a car jacked.
Yes.
Any
I
car
saw
could
exactly where you were going with that.
any car could get stolen if somebody puts a gun in your face and
Mhm.
says, "Give me the key," or the card, or Tesla. Sometimes they have a ring.
Yeah.
If somebody puts a gun in your face and makes you give them that car, you're going to give them that car. Like that's it.
Hmm. You are. And that's how Porsches get stolen. All right.
Yeah.
So
So
don't pretend like you're
yeah.
safe in all these cities, guys.
All right. So let me show you this article or this video. So this is from CBS Chicago special report. Why I carjack. Teens tell all. So let's listen to CBS Chicago.
We talked to carjacking victims across the city, with many pointing to just how young some attackers appear to be, often teenagers. Because of their age, we've never heard from them until now. You may be asking why we're even giving them a voice, not to glamorize their crimes or take advantage of them, but to understand why they do it and whether what they say could help you stay safe.
He's a 14-year-old carjacker. We'll call him David.
I dragged him out the car and get it in.
Nicole is 16, with a long list of carjackings on her record.
How many? I'll say 6. I don't know. I don't count.
And there could be hundreds of teens in Chicago looking for their next victim.
After that first one, did you have any regret?
Nah.
It's happening in dark alleys, busy parking lots, even steps away from your front door.
I could just feel her hand around my neck.
Leaned over into the car and put the gun to my head.
Put a gun to my chest and said, "If you move, I'll kill you."
We've been tracking a surge in carjackings for 2 years, with many victims shocked by the age of their attackers. The wife of a man shot dead when teens couldn't figure out how to drive his car.
Oh, my husband's back.
The daughter of an Army veteran beaten to death by teens.
It makes no sense to me.
Chicago police say they've expanded their carjacking task force twice already this year. But until now, you haven't heard straight from young carjackers on what motivates them to commit these crimes, how they choose their targets, and if anything will make them stop. We spoke with 3 teens, setting up a room so we wouldn't see them and they wouldn't see us or each other. Nothing else was off the table.
What drew you to it?
The game, GTA.
David is talking about the video game Grand Theft Auto.
If you don't got a car now, you could just take the car from people. It looked fun. I wanted to do it.
Take me back to that first time.
Me and my friends, 3 of us, we was walking, and I told him, let's take a car. We saw a man, and we just ran and stuck him up and got in the car and drove off.
Did he seem scared, shocked to see someone, so young doing it?
Yeah.
Would you say that it was easy?
Yes.
He says getting the gun was also simple.
People on Facebook and stuff, they'll sell guns.
So you were able to buy a weapon off Facebook?
Yes.
Do you find that a lot of kids your age do that?
Yes.
Nicole does it for different reasons.
I had someplace to go and I didn't have a way there. Sometimes I even sell a car, like get a car just to get money.
She says being a girl works in her favor.
They wouldn't probably expect a younger age female to be out here like carjacking.
What kind of weapons do you use when you commit a carjacking?
A knife.
Nicole has been arrested, but after a short stay in juvenile detention, she was back out.
Is this something that you still are doing?
Yes.
All right, so there we go. What do you think about that?
Dude, so much there. And we got to watch shorter segments because there's a lot there to unpack, man. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, early in the video, they're talking about the city of Chicago. Look, crime is bad there. It's been getting worse. It's just, let's just face it. Okay, it's been getting worse. And we know why. We don't have to get into it right now. It is September 8th, 2023. Those of us that are alive and adults in today's world, we know why. Okay.
Yeah.
We all know why.
Well, they don't put kids in jail anymore is a problem.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it for sure. But one thing I wanted to take from that early in the video, Chicago, they're funding this anti-car theft task force, right? So they're pumping money into this now.
Yeah.
And they need to fund it. So what are they going to do? What is their measure of success?
Oh, I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that when you don't have consequences for your actions, it's very hard to convince a young person not to do something.
Yeah, that's a huge part of this.
I could,
Dude, the point I wanted to make at the tail end of that, their measure of success for that anti-theft task force is to reduce theft.
yeah.
And it seems like they're not only going to do that by actually busting criminals, because they're just not busting criminals. So they're going to try to do that by suing the car maker.
Oh.
And to either A, fund their bloated task force, or B, force them to make changes to their vehicle so that theft goes down. The problem is you would have to force them to retrofit these fixes and then enforce it somehow through some regulatory agency, which is going to cost a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
Or you have to wait several years for people to get rid of these older Kias and buy Kias that have the new anti-theft features in them for more money.
Yeah. And, it's just a shame because I could tell you, when I was younger, there were some kids in my neighborhood or teenagers that used to steal cars. And one time they were like, Mike, you want to come with us? We go get a car. I was like, nah. Only because, number one, my mom would kill me if I stole a car.
Yeah.
And number two, I heard one of those kids that did steal cars, like he got put in juvie for like a year. So, like I didn't want to risk going to juvie for 6 months to a year and lose part of my life and be late in school and everything. And it just wasn't worth the risk. But now you talk to a kid, they're like, well, what's going to happen if you get caught stealing the car. They just release you to your parents.
Yeah.
Like I saw even some articles where you'll get arrested and they're not even allowed to keep you in juvie anymore. Like they have to bring you right back to your parents.
Yeah.
And one of the parents, her kid carjacked like 13 people,
Huh.
and they kept bringing them back. And he went out and he's like, I'm doing it again. The mother called the police and said, he's out there. He's about to steal another car right now. And there's nothing they could do.
Yeah, that's terrible parenting. First of all, and that's
Yeah.
another thing. I heard this one of the kids in the video. He's talking about he's playing Grand Theft Auto. I wouldn't let my kid play that.
Yeah.
My kid ain't playing that game. Where are the damn parents, man?
Who
What is
knows?
this?
Yeah, so it's a complete failure sandwich. The children are failing, their parents are failing, their local government is also failing. And whose fault is it? It's definitely Kia's fault.
Yeah, it's Kia's fault. Dude, they got to fund their task force. I mean, Chicago, look, guys, sorry to say it. I love Chicago. I've been there several times, had a lot of fun there. But your government sucks.
Yeah. And let me say, if the problem truly was Kias would be getting stolen everywhere. They're mostly getting stolen in the places that don't have any consequences or very little consequences for crime, especially youth crime.
Yeah.
I mean, a whole bunch of Kias getting stolen where I live.
Not here either, man.
Well, Chicago, Philly. I mean, these people, and it's really crazy that a lot of these people consider themselves intellectuals, but everything they do doesn't work. I mean, I don't even need to sit here and argue about, oh, is this right? This right? Is my theory right? The result of what you're doing is not working.
Yes.
I don't have to argue about anything.
Yeah. Dude, there's something that some people have in their brain where they just can't tell the difference between idealism and realism. They can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And until it's knocking down their door or carjacking them in their driveway in front of their children and bloodying their faces in front of their children, until that happens, they just don't realize it, man. They're not gonna. It has to happen to them. It's not a political thing. It's just there's certain people that just they have to make mistakes in order to learn.
Yeah.
And you just don't realize the consequences until it happens to you. So you have to make that mistake for yourself. And there's just some people like that, man. And it really sucks when they get into government because this is the result.
Yeah,
Really
well,
sucks, man.
They ain't going to listen to us. So let's talk. I want to talk about. So these are several reasons why I think Kia may lose the case. Are you ready?
Let's do it, man.
These are reasons why Kia might
going to be
lose.
sticky little subjects, aren't they?
All right, so this is a civil case, right? And civil cases are easier to win than criminal cases. All you need to do is prove to a jury that it's more likely than not that Kia made a mistake. Whereas in a criminal case, you have to prove by a preponderance of the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. So civil case, you got to prove 51% Kia might be wrong, 49% they're right. So what do you think? Do you agree with that?
49% Kia's. You said 51% Chicago's right?
Well, I'm just saying in a civil case, it's a very easier standard of proof.
Oh, well, yeah. No, that's correct for sure. And yeah, I guess that makes sense why. I mean, it can't be criminal because they fall under federal law because they're a multinational corporation and they have plants in many, many states in the US. So, yeah, they're not in violation of criminal law at the federal level, but at the local level, yeah, man, this is going to be interesting. I want to see how this plays out because I'm not a lawyer. We're not lawyers, but I'm very interested to know procedurally how this plays out and like where this case takes place. Does a does another judge step in at a higher level of governance and say you can't do this? Like you have to do this at a higher court? I don't know. I'm really interested to see what happens.
We'll see. All right, this is reason number 2 why I think Kia might lose. So when I was in high school, we had like I was in the nerdy part of the high school anyway, the scholars program, and we had like a law class, and the teacher was like a former lawyer. And one things I remember he said is, most cases are won and lost in what's called, I think it's pronounced voir dire, which means jury selection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you picked the dumbest people that had their Kias stolen and they had their windows smashed 30 times, even though they already fixed their Kia.
I think they could pick the right jury of, liberal Democrats, people who are sympathetic to criminals, and no matter what evidence gets produced, no matter what logic comes down the pike, they're going to side for the city of Chicago. So
Pick the Kia owners, man. They're going to go after those Kia owners. You know it. Ma'am, did you have your Kia stolen 37 times, sir? She's in.
All right. So this is the final reason why I think Kia might lose. I hope they don't, but they might. And as corrupt as the city of Chicago is, like, I think almost every one of their mayors got indicted for like fraud, or not the last one, but before that. I'm thinking the judges and everything, in the prosecutor and everything, they're probably all collaborating with each other. The judge may be so corrupt that the fix is already in. What do you think?
Man, I mean, you can't really bank on corruption, but you also can't be surprised when it happens. And it's just to watch it like unfold in real time, and you just like call it early. You can just call it, yeah, this guy's crooked, man. Then you find out 10 years later, oh yeah, that was a crooked deal. Doesn't matter for Kia in the near term. I mean, whether it's corruption or not, you're not going to prove it. It's not going to happen. It's going to take 10 years for that to unfold. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that whatever judge is there may be biased already.
Yeah.
And it might be tough for Kia to win.
Dude, we've seen that in several. That's not without precedents. We've seen that in these cases, primarily of like when it's in civil court. Just these liability cases. It happened. The one I can think of most recently was with the Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah.
If you recall, they have they built that vehicle according to the standard of the time, but by today's standards, it's very much flawed. I mean, the fuel tank is above the rear axle, right, or behind the rear axle, and so if it gets struck from the rear, there's a greater chance of that thing rupturing, and in the right conditions, there's a greater chance of there being a fire, like a big nasty gasoline fire. So, yeah, that's the most recent case I can think of where there was a big accident, a child died. It's terrible. The story is awful, man.
Yeah.
And that the family ended up getting like I think the judgment, the initial judgment was like $100 million. It was like this crazy sum of money. I don't know if they ever paid that, or it likely got reduced. But like these cases are not without precedents in civil court, man.
Yeah. So I need you to make a prediction. Or no, I need you to make a judgment call, and then we'll make a prediction.
Yeah.
If you were the CEO of Kia and you get to decide if you're either going to fight the case or you're going to settle and not claim responsibility, or settle some type of way and pay them off, which one would you choose?
Okay, so either settle or fight them is what you're saying.
Yep.
I mean, they're playing a game right now, MJ. This is a game. It's in Kia's court to respond, right? I think they're gonna probably say very little publicly. We all know. I mean, it's a massive corporation. They're gonna say very little publicly, but behind the scenes, these lawyers are having a great time. They're You know, they're all just seeing the dollar signs right now. So
what is your choice, CEO?
you fight it until you can't.
So fight it and see how the
You
case is
always
going.
go, as a CEO, you're always going after the least cost method,
Yeah.
the least damage to your company in the near term, in the midterm, and in the long term. So there's a lot of people working overtime right now over Kia. I would fight it as long as I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Because like if you don't fight it, then that kind of shows that you're easy mark, and you might have other municipalities suing you just so they
Exactly.
can get some money. Because city of Chicago is losing money. People are leaving the city, so they need to make up that tax money that they're not getting anymore somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier when we were looking at it, as soon as I caught wind, Chicago has an anti-theft task force. They got to pay for that somehow, and people are leaving the city apparently. So
Well, they got to pay for a lot of stuff somehow.
Yeah. And it's not like the federal government where you can just print money, where you can just
Yeah.
have deficits. No, you got to have a balanced budget when you're a local government. Even states do.
All right. So I think I'd do the same thing if I were you. Just start the case, see how it goes, and maybe you might have to settle. We'll see. So last question. Prediction. What do you think will happen? Will Kia win? Will Chicago win? Or will Kia settle? What is your prediction?
I think eventually Kia is going to settle. I think there's going to be a settlement out of this. But I think at the same time, they're going to make such a big example out of it that it's going to be like, hey guys, don't try this. Don't try this anywhere else because this is how much it's going to cost you.
Oh,
And I honestly think the city of Chicago is probably, they might be overplaying their hand. There's a couple other points that are just so ridiculous. It's like increased crime everywhere because of Kia. No, knock it off. You and I both know that's total nonsense. But again, jury selection, it's all going to come down to jury selection if it goes to trial. But I think Kia settles first, but they bleed the city of Chicago into paying exorbitant legal fees before they let them get there.
That would be
That's what I
smart.
think is going to happen.
That's smart, Angry McNerdy Face. I agree with you. I need to have somebody on here I disagree with so we could yell at each other.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Dane to come.
Yeah, it's just my opinion, man.
I agree though, man.
Yeah.
Because that's just what else are you gonna do? You can't just bend over and settle before it even goes to trial, because then everybody's gonna be in line. Every municipal and didn't you think Chicago's not gonna California is not gonna sue them next?
Yeah, it'll be everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, everybody's gonna have
city
their
of
hand
Los
out.
Angeles. Yeah. But it just, again, you got to look at the dollar signs and you got to make it about, because this is all about money at the end of the day. Ultimately, this is completely about money. So Kia is going to, they're doing projections and forecasting. They're saying, hey, if we fight this, here are some potential outcomes. And we have to spend this much money no matter what. And if we spend this much money, but we force Chicago to spend even more, then we just make sure that everybody knows about it later on.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've figured it out, Angry McNerdy Face. We want Kia to win outright, but we predict that they will settle. We will see what happens in real life. But that's what we got for you guys today. Everybody who tuned in, if you got any comments or questions, please put them in the comment section and we will get to them. If you have any suggestions for future topics, please let us know, and we might be able to do a little show for you. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for coming, Angry McNerdy Face.
You got it, buddy. I got to go return some videotapes.
Okay.
Talk to you later, man.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody for tuning in, and have a good one.